Hi, and welcome back to Reddit Confessions. If you're new here, well, buckle up. This one stings. She said it while brushing her teeth. Not during an argument. Not in the heat of some explosive moment. Just toothpaste, mirror, and a sentence that ruined me. I regret marrying you. She didn't even look at me. Just spit into the sink, wiped her mouth, and walked past like she'd commented on the weather. That was 4 days ago, and I've been replaying it like a broken voicemail ever since. I don't sleep much. I can't eat. I sit on the edge of the bed at 2 a.m., listening to the quiet of a house that used to feel like ours. Now it just feels like rented space between two cold shoulders. She still sleeps beside me, back turned, phone in hand, thumb scrolling into infinity. No apology. No explanation. No acknowledgement. As if she never said it at all. But I heard it. Every syllable. What's worse is, I believed it. There's no loud drama in our house. No slamming doors. Just this soft, daily erosion, like someone quietly chipping away at the walls while I pretend they're still standing. I keep asking myself when it started, but I can't find the exact crack. Maybe it was when I got laid off last fall. Maybe when her promotion made me feel smaller. Or maybe it was long before that, and I just didn't notice because I was too busy holding on. We don't talk much. We coexist. We share a Wi-Fi bill and nod hello in hallways. I try. God, I try. I make dinner, even though she eats late. I fold her laundry. I text her goodnight from the couch. She never replies. But that sentence, I regret marrying you, it's different. It's not just unkind. It's irreversible. I haven't told her I heard it. I haven't brought it up. Not because I'm scared of the fight, but because deep down, I think I know she meant it. And I'm starting to wonder what it would feel like if I disappeared from her world the way she already disappeared from mine. She said she regrets marrying me. Maybe soon, she'll regret losing me too. I didn't say a word that morning. She came into the kitchen wearing that same old navy robe, the one I bought her during our 3rd anniversary trip to Bar Harbor. Back then, she used to twirl in it, dance around the kitchen like life was a song only she could hear. That morning, she just stood silently by the coffee maker, scrolling her phone. I stood 2 feet away, and it felt like we were separated by a glass wall. I waited for her to look at me. She didn't. It was strange, how quickly someone can become a stranger in their own home. I watched her pour coffee into the mug that said, "Best wife ever." The irony practically screamed, but she didn't flinch. Just took her coffee and left, muttering something about being late. No kiss. No glance back. Not even a, "have a good day." She used to care about the little things. She once cried because I didn't notice she cut her hair. Now I could have been bleeding on the kitchen floor and I doubt she'd look up from her messages. That day, I worked from home, though calling it work feels generous. My body sat in front of the laptop, but my mind kept drifting to the name I found folded in her purse a week earlier, Kenton. Who names their son Kenton? And more importantly, why was he writing her letters? At 11:47 a.m., curiosity broke me. I opened our shared desktop and typed, Kenton, into her email. Nothing. Then I searched her messages. Still nothing. Then, God help me, I opened the Photos app. And there it was. A photo taken 2 weeks ago, at what was supposedly her coworker's bridal shower. Except there were no coworkers. Just her. And Kenton. On a balcony. She was wearing a dress I'd never seen before. She looked beautiful, free, vibrant. Her arm was looped through his like they were on vacation, not living double lives. What hit me wasn't the pose or even the fact she was with someone else. It was her smile. It was the kind of smile I hadn't seen in years. Not the tired half-smile she gave me out of politeness. This one was full. Glowing. Real. The kind she used to save just for me. I stared at that picture so long I didn't hear the garage door open. She came home early, said her lunch meeting got cancelled. I fumbled to close the laptop, and she gave me that look, that quick side glance like she knew. But she didn't ask. She didn't accuse. She didn't care. She just walked upstairs, and I swear I heard her humming. I spent the rest of the day trying to figure out what kind of man Kenton must be. Taller? Richer? More spontaneous? I googled his name, found a LinkedIn profile, then a wedding photography website. He was the kind of guy who used words like wanderlust and posted black and white photos of rainy sidewalks. I hated him on sight. But mostly, I hated myself, for comparing, for caring, for still hoping she'd pick me. I made dinner that night. Her favorite, spinach stuffed shells, garlic knots, wine. She came down, took one look at the table, and asked, "What's the occasion?" No smile. No, thank you. Just suspicion. I said nothing. Just nodded toward the seat. She ate 2 bites and said she was full. Took her plate upstairs and didn't come back down. I cleaned up in silence, like a ghost who still believes in rituals. That night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering when I became optional. Replaceable. She said she regrets marrying me. And every day since, I've started believing she means it. But what she doesn't realize, is that she's not the only one who's changing. I've stopped asking why. Now I'm asking, what happens next? And trust me, she won't be ready for the answer. She doesn't even bother locking her phone anymore. And somehow, that's worse than if she did. It's like she's not afraid of getting caught, like I've become so irrelevant in her world, I couldn't possibly do anything that would matter. I'm not even a threat. Just background noise. Last night, while she was in the shower, I picked up her phone from the bed. My fingers hovered over it like I was defusing a bomb, heart racing even though I had every reason to look. But it didn't matter, the messages weren't hidden. They were right there. Open. Careless. Almost smug. I clicked on a thread labeled K. It was him. Kenton. The last message read. You looked unreal tonight. I swear, I couldn't breathe watching you walk toward me. Wish I didn't have to wait so long. She replied. Soon. No panic. No drama. Just that one word. Soon. It hit me harder than I expected. Not because I didn't already know. But because she was planning an exit, and I wasn't even in the conversation. She was preparing to leave, and I wasn't worth a goodbye. I didn't sleep that night. I just lay in bed, listening to the rhythm of her breathing, trying to remember the last time she had even looked at me with warmth. I kept staring at her back, the way her shoulder curled toward the wall, like even in sleep, she was turning away. I thought about waking her up. About asking her, point blank, what she meant by soon. But what would that do? She'd lie. Or worse, she wouldn't. This morning, I made coffee for both of us. I handed her the mug, and she blinked like she forgot I still did that kind of thing. Then she said something that made my stomach twist. You're being weird lately. Are you okay? I nodded. Smiled. Said, just tired. She bought it, or pretended to. Then she grabbed her purse and keys like it was any other morning. But something inside me cracked right there at the door. I followed her out. Not physically. But mentally. I watched her through the blinds as she drove off, and 5 minutes later, I got into my own car. I didn't have a plan. Just a gut feeling. I tailed her for 16 miles through traffic. Past her office. She didn't turn into the parking lot. Kept going. Another 10 minutes and she pulled into a flower shop off Southbridge Avenue. A man was waiting outside. It was him. Kenton. I stayed parked across the street, hands gripping the wheel so hard I thought the skin would split. She stepped out of the car, and for a moment, I hoped maybe she'd just walk in alone. Maybe this was innocent. Maybe I was wrong. But then she ran to him. Literally ran. And when he wrapped his arms around her, she didn't hesitate. She melted into him like she had finally found her home, and it wasn't with me. They laughed. She touched his face. He kissed her forehead. It wasn't physical lust. It wasn't a fling. It was intimacy. It was everything I hadn't felt in years, bottled into 30 seconds across a street I couldn't cross. I drove away before they saw me. I didn't want to know what happened next. Not yet. I just wanted to feel like I was in control of something. Anything. Even my escape. Back home, I sat in the dark with the TV on mute. I thought about calling someone, my brother, my old college friend, anyone, but what would I say? Hey, I'm the guy whose wife is cheating on him with a wedding photographer named Kenton and he's too weak to do anything about it. No thanks. So I did what I've always done. I kept it to myself. But something's changed now. Not in her. In me. I'm done pretending. Done hoping. Done carrying the weight of a marriage she's already burned to the ground. And if she wants to live like I don't exist, she's about to find out what it actually feels like when I don't. I didn't see her come home that night. I heard the front door open around 9:40 p.m. and footsteps crossed the hardwood, but I stayed in the upstairs hallway, lights off, holding my breath like I was hiding from a burglar in my own house. It's funny how fear and heartbreak feel the same when they grip your chest. She dropped her heels in the entryway, the same silver ones she wore to our engagement dinner 7 years ago. Back then, she wore them with a smile that meant something. Tonight, she wore them back from another man's arms. I waited a full hour before going downstairs. She was already curled up on the couch, legs under a throw blanket, laptop glowing in front of her, like nothing had happened. Like she hadn't just spent the evening wrapped around someone else. She looked up briefly. You okay? I stared at her like she was speaking another language. Was I okay? Was I okay? I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw the vase on the counter, rip down the photo of us in Maine, tell her I followed her. That I saw everything. That I knew. But I didn't. I just nodded. Because even now, even after everything, I didn't want to see her flinch. I still wanted her to love me, even if it was out of guilt. That's how broken I've become. She went back to scrolling. I stood there longer than I should have. She didn't ask why. The next morning, I did something I haven't done in years. I woke up before her. I cooked breakfast. Not just toast and eggs, I went all out. Pancakes with strawberries, her favorite kind of bacon, fresh orange juice. I even folded the napkins. She came down and blinked like I'd performed magic. What's this for? I looked at her, straight in the eyes, and said calmly, just wanted you to remember what it feels like to be cared for. She didn't respond. She just sat down and ate quietly. But I could see the tension in her jaw, like she was preparing for an attack that never came. I didn't give her one. I smiled. I poured her coffee. I asked about her weekend plans like I didn't know she was sneaking away again in less than 24 hours. She thought I was healing. I was just preparing. I didn't tell her about the letter I'd written. Or the account I opened. Or the backup files I copied from her phone to mine while she slept. I didn't mention the appointment I made with the lawyer. Or the fact that, for the first time in 2 years, I called my mother back. See, when someone cheats, the betrayal isn't in the act alone, it's in every breath they take afterward pretending like it didn't happen. Cambria cheated, yes, but what really shattered me was how she kept offering me silence like it was a bandage. Like ignoring it made it less real. She once told me she hated liars. Now she lives as one. That evening, she got a call. I was in the kitchen, pretending to do dishes. I heard her voice drop, that soft, sugary tone she never uses with me anymore. "No, he's not here right now." "Yeah, it's safe. I miss you too." The knife in my hand nearly slipped. I dried my fingers and quietly walked upstairs, taking each step like I was tiptoeing across ice. My heart was beating like it wanted out of my chest, but my face stayed calm. If she wanted to lie, I would let her. If she wanted distance, I'd give her miles. If she wanted regret, I'd deliver it like a gift. The next morning, I started packing, not boxes, just thoughts. Plans. Exit strategies. The kind of ideas a man starts piecing together when he realizes he's not being left, he's being erased. She still doesn't know I saw them. She still thinks I'm oblivious, clinging to the hope that if she ignores the storm long enough, it'll pass on its own. But she's wrong. This isn't a storm. It's the quiet before my thunder. And I promise you, when it hits, she won't see it coming. She didn't notice that I stopped wearing my wedding ring last week. She didn't ask why I changed my cologne. Or why I suddenly started going to the gym again. She didn't flinch when I cancelled our shared Netflix account or when I left her out of a group RSVP to my cousin's wedding. She didn't even blink when I told her I'd be out late on a Thursday, something I haven't done in years. She just nodded. Barely. That's the thing about people who are too wrapped up in their secret lives, they stop seeing what's right in front of them. And Cambria? She's so deep in her performance, so convinced that I'm still the passive, quiet, desperate to please version of myself, that she's blind to the way I'm peeling myself away piece by piece. She doesn't know I've already met with a lawyer. Twice. She doesn't know I opened a private bank account under my own name. She doesn't know I've rerouted my paychecks. She doesn't know I installed a hidden camera in the hallway. She doesn't know I've recorded every phone call she's made on the house line for the past 3 weeks. And worst of all, she doesn't know I found his name on a lease. A lease that she co-signed. 1 city over. New construction. Move-in date, next month. Soon, she said in that text. Yeah. Now I know what soon meant. She was planning to disappear. To slide out of my life like it was just an old jacket she no longer wanted to wear. What she doesn't know is, I'm not chasing her anymore. I'm just watching now. Watching how far she's willing to take it. Watching how many lies she stacks on top of each other like a house of cards she thinks will never fall. I could have confronted her. Could have ended it already. But the truth is, I want her to keep building that tower of deception. Higher. Riskier. I want her to be comfortable. I want her to believe she's winning. Because when it all collapses, the shock will be hers alone. Today, she kissed me goodbye. First time in months. It was light. Distant. Perfunctory. But it was the kiss of someone playing the part of a wife, not someone being one. I asked her, "Where are you going after work?" She smiled, sweet, practiced. "Just dinner with Sadie. You know, girl stuff." Sadie moved to Seattle 6 months ago. I nodded and handed her the keys. She left in my car. Again. The one with the GPS tracker installed last Monday. By 6:48 p.m., she was at the wine bar downtown. By 7:02, Kenton arrived. And by 7:20, they were sitting on the same side of the booth. I watched it all live on my phone, sitting across town at a diner, sipping lukewarm coffee and pretending to read a newspaper. Every laugh, every touch, every glance between them felt like nails against my skin. But I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I just watched. Because I'm not going to break anymore. That version of me, the one who begged for her attention, who believed her lies, who thought maybe love could be rebuilt from ashes, he's gone. Now. I'm just collecting evidence. And when I'm done, she's going to know exactly what it feels like to be left out of her own story. Not because I hate her. But because she made me invisible. And I want her to finally see what that looks like. It was a Tuesday when she said it. She had just come home from a team-building dinner, though her lipstick was smudged, and her earrings didn't match the ones she left with. She walked past me like I was part of the furniture, tossed her heels by the door, and stood in front of the open fridge like she forgot how to function in our house. Then, out of nowhere, she turned to me and said, "You know what the worst part about you is, Ellis? You never fight back. You never do anything. You just sit in your feelings like a coward." I was standing at the sink, drying a glass. I didn't look at her. I didn't respond. I think that infuriated her even more. She laughed, bitterly, and walked away, muttering something under her breath that I couldn't make out. But it didn't matter. That word was still echoing in my head, coward. It's strange, I've never cheated, never lied, never laid a hand on her, never raised my voice. I worked full-time, did the dishes, rubbed her back when she was tired. I wrote her birthday cards even when she didn't remember mine. I tried. But because I didn't explode? Because I didn't scream at her when she stayed out until 2 a.m.? Because I didn't tear the house apart when I found out about Kenton? That made me a coward. It was that moment I realized something terrifying: she didn't just fall out of love with me. She started resenting the fact that I didn't break. Because if I broke, if I threw something, if I yelled, then she could make me the villain. She could twist the ending. She could say, "See? He wasn't stable. He was dangerous. That's why I left." But I wasn't going to give her that story. I was going to let her keep playing house, smiling, lying, sneaking around, until the ground beneath her vanished and she couldn't figure out when it started cracking. And the cracks were already there. She forgot to log out of the computer again. That night, after she went to sleep, fully clothed, back turned, I opened her emails. She had an entire folder labeled "Sand." It was code. Inside were screenshots. Hotel receipts. Bookings for future weekends. Even a copy of her resignation letter from work, set to send next Friday. She was preparing for a life without me, and she'd named it something as forgettable as sand. Something that slips through your fingers and leaves no trace. Except I saw it. I printed everything. Each page, neatly labeled. Each photo, time-stamped. Each message from Kenton, carefully preserved. "You're almost free," one said. "This time next month, it's just us," read another. I didn't cry. Not this time. I just kept printing. Organizing. Planning. By the time the sun came up, I had a binder thick enough to crack a desk. And yet, I still made her coffee. Still ironed her blouse. Still kissed her on the forehead as she grabbed her keys and rushed out the door. She looked back once. That's when I realized she was starting to notice. Not everything. Not yet. But something had shifted. Maybe it was in my voice. Maybe it was the way I smiled, not sad anymore, but quiet. Confident. Like someone who knew something she didn't. She tilted her head. "You okay?" I smiled. Never better. And for the first time in months, she looked unsure. That was the moment I'd been waiting for. Because when someone thinks they've won, the scariest thing you can do, is smile like you did. She came home late again. I didn't ask where she was. She walked in like she always did, hair curled, makeup too fresh for, just drinks with coworkers, and that faint trace of a man's cologne that no longer belonged to me. But this time, I didn't bother hiding that I noticed. I looked right at her as she passed, and for a moment, she hesitated. Only for a second, but it was there. She was starting to feel it. The imbalance. The shift. I had been so passive for so long that my silence had always meant surrender. But now, my silence had changed. It was deliberate. Heavy. And I think, finally, she felt its weight. She went upstairs without a word. I stayed at the table, flipping through the binder I kept hidden behind the paneling in my office. I had a copy of everything now, even a video. A doorman at the apartment complex where Kenton lived sent me footage from their lobby. It showed her entering with a duffel bag and leaving 2 days later, wearing the same clothes. No attempt to hide. No shame. Just a woman walking out of a lie like it was a vacation rental. And yet, she still wore her wedding ring. That's what really got me. That damn ring. She took everything else off, her loyalty, her dignity, our history, but the ring stayed on her hand like a twisted form of branding. A symbol of something she knew she'd already buried. The next morning, she made breakfast. First time in months. Eggs. Toast. Even a glass of orange juice, just the way I like it. She sat down across from me, looking like she was trying to play the role again. The good wife. The kind of woman who belonged in a photo frame. I took one bite and said nothing. She stared. "Are you mad at me?" she asked, as if the weight of her affair had only just registered. I looked up, held her gaze, and replied softly, "Why would I be mad? Everything's exactly how you wanted it." That's when the mirror cracked. She blinked. Her jaw clenched slightly. She reached for her juice, her hand trembling just a little. Not enough for someone else to notice, but I did. It was working. The control she thought she had, the game she thought she was winning, it was slipping. And she didn't know where the leak was. Later that day, she called me at work. That never happened. She asked what time I'd be home. I told her I had plans. She asked with who. I paused long enough for her to hear the uncertainty she hadn't heard in years. "Just a friend," I said. Silence. "Then, you're acting different." I smiled through the phone. "Am I?" She didn't respond. Just said, "Okay," and hung up. She got home before me that night. She had dinner ready. She was wearing the perfume I used to compliment. The same one she stopped using after she met him. She tried to laugh during dinner. Told me a story from work. Asked if I liked the lasagna. I played along. But I saw the panic behind her eyes. The calculations. She was scanning me, trying to read the gaps between my words, to figure out what I knew. And for the first time, she didn't seem so sure of herself. After dinner, I grabbed my coat. She followed me to the door. "Where are you going?" "Out," I said. "Out where?" I turned and looked at her, not with anger. Not even with hurt. Just distance. The kind of distance that stings more than shouting. "You'll figure it out," I said, and walked out. I didn't go far. Just sat in the car, parked at the edge of the street, and watched through the window. She stood in the hallway for a long time after the door closed. Staring into the silence I used to fill. And for once, she wasn't smiling. She was unraveling. I could see it. And it was only just beginning. She cried when I didn't yell. That's what broke her. Not the silence. Not the emotional distance. Not even the late nights I stopped explaining. It was the moment she realized I wasn't coming apart, because I had already let go. It happened on a Sunday morning. The kind of morning where nothing special was supposed to happen. Sunlight came through the curtains. The air smelled like coffee. The house was still. I placed the envelope on the kitchen table. Inside was everything. The proof. The screenshots. The hotel receipts. Copies of her messages. The apartment lease she thought I'd never see. My lawyer's letter. Divorce papers. She came downstairs still in pajamas, hair pulled back, no makeup. She looked younger. Softer. Almost like the version of her I used to know. She noticed the envelope, opened it, and everything in her stopped. She didn't scream. Didn't deny it. She just whispered, "You knew." I nodded once. How long? Long enough. She sat down slowly, her hand covering her mouth, eyes welling with tears she never expected to cry. Her whole body shook. For the first time in years, she wasn't composed. She wasn't clever. She wasn't in control. "I didn't think you'd ever leave me," she said. And that was the most honest thing she'd ever said. I could have thrown everything in her face. I could have humiliated her the way she humiliated me. But I didn't. I wasn't there for revenge. I was there to set myself free. "I'm not leaving to hurt you," I said. "I'm leaving because staying would destroy what's left of me." She sobbed. Harder than I'd ever seen. She begged me to talk, to wait, to let her explain. She said it wasn't love, that it was a mistake, that she didn't know why she did it. I didn't need to know why anymore. I had spent so long breaking apart inside, waiting for her to choose me again, only to realize, I had the power to choose myself. So I stood up, grabbed my overnight bag, and walked toward the door. She followed. "Ellis, please. Can't we fix this?" I turned to her one last time. My voice was calm. "Certain. You said I was a coward because I never fought back. But walking away from someone I once loved this much, is the bravest thing I've ever done." Then I closed the door. No slamming. No shouting. Just finality. That was 2 months ago. Now I wake up in a small, quiet apartment with no tension in the air. I drink coffee on the balcony and go for runs in the morning. I'm still healing. Still unlearning the idea that I wasn't enough. But I'm laughing again. Sleeping again. Living again. And sometimes, that's more than enough. Thank you for watching this full story here on Reddit Confessions. If you've ever experienced something that changed you in ways no one saw coming, drop it in the comments. What moment woke you up? And remember, sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all, just walk away with your peace intact. Until next time.